Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. And these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening set-apart nation. This series, The Final Exodus Countdown 2023, provide information regarding details and processes for the preparation and execution of the final Exodus. Some may know it as the Greater Exodus. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, make no mistake, a promise has been made by the Almighty Creator, the Almighty Father, Yahuah, to gather his children from the four corners of the earth. And I believe we will witness this occur before the physical return of Yahusha Mashyach, his word that was manifest before us. But before I continue, let me say this. The views expressed in these messages do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, management, and/or shareholders or sponsors of this media platform. With that said, I want to take a moment also to thank those who have contributed to the support of my sustainability as I seek to obey the Almighty Father. Those who have contributed cash through the Cash App, White Rose family, I want to say sincerely, thank you. Thank you. Though it does not cost to use YouTube, but the internet does cost. And I am one of age where I'm on a limited income. So I ask your help and support. And that help and support would aid me in contributing to the gathering of Yashar'al, to the making things clear. And I believe the Almighty Father Yahuah soften hearts and harden hearts as it relates to giving, supporting, and coming together. Enough said on that, my brothers and sisters. I will post the Cash App cash tag in the last slide. But hear this, O Yashar'al. This segment of the series of the Final Exodus is entitled The Crown Exchange. I want to bring to your attention the importance of authority. And some of you might think of, when I say the importance of authority, is someone ruling over you or you ruling over someone. But we must understand, O Yashar'al, that as vessels, as tabernacles, as temples of the Almighty Father, he works in us, through us, one towards another. Ensure there are shepherds, there are mores, there are teachers chosen by him to guide, to instruct, to teach, to demonstrate the thing that they are charged to do regarding set apartness. But we, O Yashar'al, the one in the mirror, also have authority to manage the crown that we've been given by the Almighty Father Yahuah. Come with me, O Yashar'al. We must discern the connection of wisdom and the crown we wear, the crown that has been given to us by the Almighty Father. I want to present in this segment the full dynamics of the crown, and in such a way that I've yet to see taught among the family of Yashar'al, but I believe it's necessary for such a time as this. Come with me as I read in Proverbs 4th chapter, verse 5 through 9. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 5 through 9. It reads, "Get wisdom, get understanding, do not forget. Do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not leave her and let her guard you. Do not leave her and let her guard you. Love her and let her watch over you." Let me read that again. Do not leave her, let her guard you. Love her and let her watch over you. We're talking about wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is get wisdom. And with all you're getting, get understanding. Exalt her and let her uplift you. She brings you esteem when you embrace her. She gives your head a fair wreath. She shields you with an adorning crown, wisdom. And though it used the word she, it is talking about the Spirit of the Almighty Father. She is to let you know this is a component of how his Spirit works through the Almighty, how the Almighty Father's Spirit works through Yahusha Mashyach. For his Spirit was sent in Yahusha's name, as written in John 14:26. And when he comes to us with wisdom, it lets us know that we are shielded with an adorning crown. Stay with me, O Yashar'al, for I will make more sense of how this applies to today and our struggles today. My brothers and sisters, you hear many people say we are royalty. We who are Hebrews, we're royalty. Many don't understand that royalty rules. Royalty demonstrates. Royalty serves. Royalty is a reflection of the Almighty Father through his word sent in Yahusha's name, through his Spirit sent to work in us, through us, one towards another. We must understand the connections of when we demonstrate royalty, when we demonstrate wearing the crown that our heads have been adorned by the Almighty Father. Come with me, O Yashar'al. Know the giver of crowns. Who is it that places a crown on our head? Who is it that gives us wisdom? Who is it that strengthens us? It is the Almighty Father. And we must know, O Yashar'al, there are times to rise up and be strong, strengthened by the power and might. There are times to reflect royalty, commanding the responsibility for he who wears the crown. That's you, that's me, that's us, individually and collectively. Yashar'al, come with me as I read the following. For the crown we wear comes with responsibility and accountability. Let me read the following, O Yashar'al. It says here in Luke chapter 12, verse 48. Luke chapter 12, verse 48. But he who did not know, yet did what deserved flogging, yet be beaten with few. And everyone to whom much is given, for him much shall be demanded. And to whom much has been entrusted, from him much more shall be asked. My brothers and sisters, many individuals will read this and just point to a brother, a sister, or brothers and sisters and say, too much is given, much is required. Know this, every child of the Almighty Father is given tasks. Each of us are given things, much from the Almighty Father. From the seed of life, from a breath, to things to say and do. As we fellowship, as we work one with another, as he works in us and through us. So much is required, much is demanded by everyone, and to the measure in which he bestowed on us, to put on us, that we will be held accountable. So the crown, O Yashar'al, the crown which we wear by the Almighty Father, comes with responsibility and accountability. Consider Genesis 2nd chapter, verse 15 through 17. It reads, And Yahuwah, the Almighty One, took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. And Yahuwah, the Almighty One, commanded that man, saying, Eat of every tree of the garden, but do not eat of the tree of knowledge and of good and evil. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall certainly die. Can we agree that Adam was charged with authority in the Garden of Eden? That he was given power, mental talent to name the living creatures? Was that authority? Could we say he was the first sovereign or king walking upon the face of the earth? Sure, Yahusha is our sovereign, is the ultimate king. But I'm saying in terms of man walking, can you say he was the first one to wear the crown of managing life, physical life. Yashar'al, managing our crowns is important. Come with me to Genesis chapter 2, verse 19 and 20. Hear these words, my brothers and sisters. And from the ground, Yahuah, Almighty One, formed every beast of the field and every bird of heaven and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called each living being, that was its name. Can we say that the crown that Yahuah gave Adam was a crown of authority to name each living being and more when it comes to managing the garden? It goes on in the 20th verse. I'm in the 2nd chapter of Genesis, the 20th verse. So the man gave names to all livestock and to the birds of the heavens and to every beast of the field. But for the man there was not found a helper for him as his counterpart. My brothers and sisters, and we know that what ultimately Yahuah created Eve, and together they were to manage all living things. Responsibility of the crown. But something happened, my brothers and sisters. Something occurred, and I will speak on it in a moment. It is important when we have a crown to know that knowledge has its place. Consider these words, and I'm going to come back to Adam and Eve in a moment. Consider these words. Proverbs 1:7 say, the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. We must understand, my brothers and sisters, to wear a crown, there must be knowledge of what to do, what is expected, how to be worthy of the crown of life that we have been given. Let us not despise wisdom nor discipline, for these are necessary to wear the crown upright in obedience to the Almighty Father. Proverbs 12:1 says, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. Other translations made something else derogatory. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge. Knowledge has its place, my brothers and sisters. Do not be puffed up, lest you stumble and fall. And I will mention that in a minute. In Romans 12, verse 3 through 5, Romans chapter 12, verse 3 through 5, it reads, for I say through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. For as we have many members in one body, but all members do not have the same function, so we the many are one body in Messiah, and members each one to another. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al. Knowledge has its place. As the Almighty Father works in us and through us, there will be time to submit and time to stand strong, time to yield and time to execute. There will be times of crown exchange, sometimes for the good, and sometimes it would happen for the bad that is not ordered. You might say, well, what are you talking about, Symmanayah? I'm saying this, O Yashar'al. Everyone isn't wearing a crown to manage something out there. We wear the crown to yield to one another. We wear the crown when we walk in obedience. For as we walk in obedience to what the Almighty Father Yahuah is directing us, then those whom he is giving us to speak to will listen and hear and watch the actions of the individual speaking, who will reflect the crown of your Spirit of Yahuah working through them. So intermittently, what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters, there's time we listen to one another. Then the Spirit of Yahusha is speaking, and you're speaking as one commanding the crown to me or to another. And there are times the Spirit of Yahusha will use me, and I will speak as one holding the crown. You see, people say we're kings and queens, but who are we ruling? They fail to realize that the scriptures talk about we are vessels that inward man, that spirit is joined with the Spirit of Yahuah. In Yahusha's name, they fail to realize that intermittently the Spirit of Yahuah will speak through us individually, one towards another, or one to a group. The crown exchange is yielding to whoever is being commanded to lead, to speak. Whoever is charged to do a thing that we must follow or we must yield to. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. The importance of examinations regarding those who wear the crown is a daily process. We must learn how to examine one another. We must learn how to examine all things. Remember, I told you I would come back to Adam and Eve. Consider this. Genesis 2:25 says, and they were both naked, and the man and his wife, yet they were not ashamed. That was in Genesis 2:25. But look at what happened after they ate the forbidden fruit. In Genesis chapter 3, verse 7 through 11 says, then the eyes of both of them were open, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loins covering for themselves. And they heard the voice of the Almighty One walking about in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuah, the Almighty One, among the trees in the garden. And Yahuah, the Almighty One, called unto Adam and said to him, where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, so I hid myself. And he said, who made you know that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree which I commanded you that you should not eat? Yashar'al, consider this. When we step outside the discipline of the Almighty Father, we are made unwise. It is proven that we make foolish actions. First of all, consider this. Genesis 2:25 let them know that they were naked, and they weren't ashamed. They were intelligent beings managing the garden, naming the living beings and creatures of the earth. But they became deceived by the wicked one. And even though they were intelligent, knowledgeable, empowered with managing life on earth, when they ate of the tree of good and evil, that knowledge made them foolish. That knowledge gave them temporary amnesia. That knowledge proved that they became disconnected. The most intelligent beings on the planet. And they failed to realize they were the only two of their own kind naked. But knowledge made them say, oh, I'm naked. And now they're ashamed, so they want to hide. There was no need to hide. They didn't need to be ashamed. You see, so even though they got the knowledge of good and evil, they became disconnected, not knowing how to manage it, not knowing its purpose, not knowing the need to stay in tune with the Almighty Father. You see, even though they got the knowledge of good and evil, they forgot who created them. How he is almighty. And they're trying to hide. How you going to try to hide from someone that created the heavens and the earth? You see, so knowledge disconnected from the Spirit of the Almighty Father only will show and prove to be unfruitful if you're not connected and obedient to the Almighty Father. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. I will say to you that Adam and Eve gave their crown to the flesh. You see, the flesh war against the spirit. And if you give your crown to the flesh, it's going to do what it wants to do. This happens among us, Yashar'al, when we stumble and fall. When we do things that are outside of obedience to the Almighty Father. We've given our crown over to the flesh. And we do things that are foolish, do things that are unwise. So I say to you, O Yashar'al, how do we get corrected? It is the Spirit of Yahusha that brings scripture to mind, that brings correction and reproof to mind. either directly or through a brother or sister, or through a moray, a teacher, a pastor, a community head, a shepherd, those that are chosen. And there are those who are wicked. There are those who are stuck on themselves. There are those who hung up on titles. I'm not speaking of those. So there's a time, my brothers and sisters, when the crown exchange positions, where it's no longer a reflection of what's in our spirit walking in obedience, but it becomes what the flesh want to do. Do not give your crown to the flesh and let the flesh do whatever it wants to do. Be mindful and know when to yield to reproof and correction. Let me read the following, my brothers and sisters. You see, when we walk in disobedience, the crown have exchanged positions. Consider Ephesians 5:17-21. It says, so then do not be foolish, but understand what the desire of Yahuah is. Do not be drunk with wine, in which is loose behavior, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to each other in psalms and songs of praise and spiritual songs, singing and striking the string in your heart to the Master, giving thanks always for all to the Almighty Father, in the name of Master Yahusha, Messiah, subjecting yourselves to each other in fear of the Almighty One. You see, my brothers and sisters, subjecting yourselves. We're not in a situation where the Spirit of Yahuah just speaks through me, just speaks through you. In our fellowship, in our communication, in our interactions, we must understand what it means to subject ourselves one towards another. It is as the Spirit of Yahuah guides us, influence us, direct our footsteps. The flesh war against the spirit, my brothers and sisters, and it wars over the crown. The flesh wants to wear the crown. It wants to be seen, doing its own thing, commanding its orders. This is a crown exchange that is unacceptable. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, hear these words in Galatians 5:17. Galatians 5:17, it says, for the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are opposed to each other, so you do not do what you desire to do. It's letting us know the flesh war against the spirit. Don't do what we desire to do. Don't walk after the desires that are outside of set apartness. Hold on to your crown, O Yashar'al. Let your inward man, the inner spirit, hold on to the crown and command and manage this earthen vessel as instructed by the Almighty Father. Do not be deceived by wicked and false teachers who fail to acknowledge the crown on you as well as the crown on them. Anyone can give their crown over to the flesh, but it is the discipline of the Almighty Father that will return the crown to its proper place to reflect the crown, the royalty of set apartness, O Yashar'al. In Romans 7:22-25, we see where the crown, there was a struggle over the crown. And I could say a struggle over authority. But I am saying to you, O Yashar'al, authority, the crown, position of giving commands and orders. Consider Romans 7:22-25, while Shaul says, I delight in the Torah of the Almighty One. Torah is instruction, my brothers and sisters. Could say the instructions of the Almighty One. According to the inward man. See, his spirit is delighting in that. And our spirit will manage these earthen vessels. And we do, as we find ourselves disciplined and walking in obedience to the Almighty Father. Shaul goes on to say, but I see another Torah. I see another instruction in my members, battling against the Torah of my mind. In this case, when he say my mind, he's talking about his spirit. And bringing me into captivity to the Torah of sin, which is in my members. Here he's talking about the brain, the cognitive factors. You see, my brothers and sisters, we are conditioned and programmed by what we see, what we hear, what we touch and feel, who we hang around, how we were raised, what environments we've been in. That's a conditioning that have been formed and shaped through our cognitive, our mental factors. But there's an inward man. There's a spirit. There's a spirit that is drawn by the Almighty Father Yahuah, as mentioned in John 6:44. My brothers and sisters, where the Almighty Father draws us to him. Who among us is able to understand that the Father draws us to Yahusha Mashyach, and to seek after his spirit, we will find deliverance out of obedience. Notice what he says here. He saw another Torah. That was that programming, conditioning. Just like we conditioned in the West to various Western habits that are not scriptural. Many have even formed positions based off of the Western culture and not that of Yashar'al. But I will get into that, and I have on other occasions. Shaul, Paul says, "Wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death?" He's talking about a battle. The Torah of the instructions from the Almighty Father, the instructions from his brain. And he said, "Who shall deliver me?" And he goes on to say in the 25th verse, "Thanks to the Almighty One, the Yahusha Messiah, our Master. So then with the mind," he said in his spirit, "I myself truly serve the instructions of the Almighty One, but with the flesh, the instruction of sin." So know who's wearing the crown. Do not take these crowns for granted, O Yashar'al. Do not think for a moment that we are crownless, that we have no authority. Do not give in to such. Excuse me. It is time, O Yashar'al, as unity is being forged. I want to challenge you when you get into a discussion, when you get into fellowship, I challenge you to ask yourself before you engage in what might be a debate or argument, who's wearing the crown? Your flesh, your ego? Or are you reflecting the influence of Yahusha, the true sovereign, the ultimate king, working in us and through us? Ask that of the person that you're engaging in conversation. What crown are you wearing? What is your crown reflecting? Is it reflecting set apartness? Or is that your flesh speaking to me? You see, there are many who will guard. There are many who prefer to guard their flesh, their own cognitive ways and viewpoints. Look at all the differences of belief, positions of belief, interpretations of scriptures that exist. But I say to you, O Yashar'al, out of all the noise that's going on during end times, we will learn not to take the crown for granted. We will learn to exchange the crown as we work one through another, yielding one to another. But we will learn also to guard the crown of set apartness within us and among us as we find ourselves being fitly joined together in unity, O Yashar'al. My brothers and sisters, end times are here. There will be times. There will be times to command and times to yield and serve. You see, our actions will be intermittent. There will be a time of giving, a time of taking. There's a time and season, O Yashar'al. And for such a time and season as these end times, we must know how to be quiet and when to speak, what to guard, what to reflect as it relates to the royalty that we are partakers of by Yahusha Mashyach, as we are partakers of wearing the crown of set apartness, the crown of authority, the crown that brings life. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, the crown exchange. How many of your teachers, your mores, your community heads, how many of your spiritual influencers have told you that you wear a crown? And there are times I must listen to you. I must yield to you. For you see, in the flesh warring against the spirit, we all will stumble and fall from time to time. We must learn how to be humble. And humbleness is not being passive. Humbleness is having the strength to admit when we're wrong and yield to what is set apart. People confuse the word being humble. It is not something passive, run over me, take advantage of me. No, humbleness is having the strength to put these earthen vessels in check and yield to what is true and who is true. In other words, if a brother or sister correct you, being humble is telling his flesh, down, boy, down, girl, down, down, down. Yield to the correction and reproof. Let the blood of Yahusha, let the atoning power of Yahusha cleanse and wash us and rise up in the spirit of renewedness and embrace with the brother, the sister, the teacher, the moray, the community head, the pastor, the bishop. Embrace what they're saying if they are indeed being used. Doesn't have to be a title, but it must be someone that is being used by the Almighty Father. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al. One day, what will your words be? I wish that I would have, I should have, I'm glad that I did. What will your words be, O Yashar'al? It's time to discern and choose wisely how you will wear the crown that you've been given, how you will manage these earthen vessels and identify the work that is necessary in the coming days as Yashar'al come together. Look around, O Yashar'al, uncertainty is growing. This pandemic is beyond the definition, the coverings that the governments want to give it. They're not going to say that it is the hand of the Almighty Father. Remember, the Almighty Father Yahuah promises discipline, vengeance, and wrath. And how we walk and wear these crowns will determine how we are able to interpret what is happening during these end times. Famine and pestilence is enlarging. And because it may not have reached your doorstep to where you recognize it, it's coming. Civil unrest is intensifying. Wars and rumors of wars is enlarging. Earthquakes in diverse places. Climate change and global warming is real. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al. Be alert to who's wearing the crown and know who to lead when it's time to lead, who to follow when it's time to follow. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al. Let us learn how to guard the crown. Guarding the crown is when we come into set apartness, when we know unequivocally that we are walking in obedience, that we standing in set apartness. Let us guard and preserve what is set apart. Let us know what it is to be as iron sharpen iron. How that means two like metals clinging together to produce a sharp edge. The sparks that fly are the impurities that leave. So sometimes, O Yashar'al, yes, as iron sharpen iron, if we are of like mind to do the will of the Almighty Father, there will be clashes to remove the impurities. And we will learn how to yield to the crown of the one that is ordered to bring correction and reproof. We will learn how to repent. We will know what it is to be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Are you not aware of Revelation 7:14 that talks about the great distress, how those who are physically alive would have had their robes washed in the blood of the Lamb? And seek out the scripture, my brothers and sisters. We are washed by his word, by being obedient, by getting under the blood. It covers the sins. The atoning blood covers the sin. The Spirit of Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name, renews us, and we are able to have the audacity to rise up strong and continue to pursue set apartness. Hear these words, O Yashar'al. Do not take the crown for granted. And do not give it away freely. Demonstrate how it is to be used. In other words, demonstrate how authority will flow among us, one towards another, and when to yield and when to stand strong. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al. There's much work to be done. Will you wear the crown? Will you be strong by the power and might given to you by the Spirit of the Almighty Father in Yahusha's name? Prepare to identify the tasks that are administered. Prepare to identify the task in your assignment. Yes, you, the one in the mirror. And there are those who will rise up with so much work to be done. There are times you will seem overwhelmed. But the Almighty Father will guide us, direct us, work in us, through us, one towards another. And there will be those who will face a different outcome. Some that will become sick, a sickness that will lead to reproof. There will be those that will experience a sickness that will lead to death. There are those who will experience an unpleasant death. Remember, the Almighty Father reigns on the just and the unjust. Just because we belong to him, these earthen vessels will go back to the dirt. And some earthen vessels will be led astray because of milk or rebellion or false teachings in the wrong place at the wrong time. But hear this, my brothers and sisters. There's work to be done. And there are those who will fulfill the final exodus. There are those who will be martyrs for Yahusha's name. There are those who will be ordered to shelter in place until destruction come. To be the last words echoed in that environment to those that are left behind, letting them know that Yahuwah's plan is indeed unfolding. It is the Almighty Father who chooses who left. And when I say left behind, I'm not saying left behind and the Father is no longer around them. You can be physically left behind in terms of the earthen vessel going to the dirt, but your spirit ain't left behind, for it says when we physically die, those who are his, we go to the bosom of Abraham. We go to that place of rest until judgment day, until resurrection time. There's a scripture when it talks about this final exodus. And when people talk about left behind, they think just the literal. But I say to you, not one child of Yahuwah is left behind. That body will go back to the earthen vessel for some, but the spirit will be gathered, harvested from this earthen vessel to the place where Yahuwah have us. So many people have just wanted to fill in a narrative and say, well, you go to heaven. That's not the case. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, wearers of the crown, wear them obediently. Know that there's work to be done. If you are one who have succumbed to self-condemnation or are being hurt by erroneous teaching and have not found deliverance, continue. For the next several recordings will discuss matters for those who feel alone because they did something wrong, because they failed, because they sinned. Unless there was blasphemy against the Spirit of Yahuwah directly, the sin is forgivable. And I say to you, O Yashar'al, brothers or sisters, some of you are out there hurting from your own mistakes. Some of you have lost fellowship because of an erroneous moray, a teacher, an erroneous pastor, a shepherd. Don't know how to manage the crown. They've given them their crowns to their own head, and they treating you like they're Yahusha. Restoration and deliverance will come. Being washed by the blood of the Lamb is so powerful, O Yashar'al. I call out to you if you believe you have been isolated by erroneous teachers for mistakes that you've done. If your spirit is stirring with grief, if your desire is to do the will of the Almighty Father, get to know the power of the atoning blood in spite of people who are wearing their crowns recklessly. Discover that you are and have been forgiven. Discover that you are made new. Discover that you can rise up. And I'm going to talk about this more, Yashar'al. For as we gather in unity, we will understand the power of being washed by the blood of the Lamb, how to not look back on what happened yesterday, and embrace one another today and press on into set apartness. You see, when we look back, we look to learn our lesson, but we are not to look back to be constantly condemning ourselves or be condemned by anyone. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, rise up, my brothers and sisters. You who hear these words, they will stir. You who these words are intended for, they will stir. And you will be restored, and you will know how to wear your crown by being obedient to the Almighty Father, by identifying brothers and sisters of like mind, body, and spirit, who understands how to wear this crown and set apartness. On that note, I say to you, O Yashar'al, choose wisely how you will wear your crown. Choose wisely how you will govern these earthen vessels. I want to thank you for your patience, your tolerance, your pursuit of set apartness. My prayer is that you identify the realities of all that is designed for you to receive, for us to receive, for me to receive. In Yahusha's name, the things that will bring about the unity that is necessary for this final exodus and more. There's so much more to come, my brothers and sisters. Prepare to witness the unity. I ask for your support, your communications, your questions. I look forward to meeting you. For some I will, some I may not in this life. And if you want to contribute to help me as I press on into the messages I believe I'm given, visit Watchman.net. There is a contact form on this website where if you reach out, I will respond to you privately. If you want to contribute financially, there's no amount that's too small. It will help me and sustain the life that I have right now. It will contribute towards what I am doing to contribute to the beginnings of a set-apart nation coming together. As I mentioned earlier, yes, I'm on limited income. Your support will help and be much appreciated. But my trust rests with the Almighty Father, that He will harden your heart, soften your heart. And like I said earlier, no, it doesn't cost to do recordings. Internet costs. But I'm not going to beat up on that. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters. Look around. Look around at the things that are going on and realize the importance of focusing on the inner court, inside Ezekiel's wheel. And I spoke of this before. In other words, the things that pertain to set apartness and what the Almighty Father is asking of us, from us. Let us focus our attention on what we should be doing now and going forward. And let us not become inundated, overtaken by all the things that are unfolding before us. And let us not hide our heads in the sand. Let us not bury our crown. On that note, O Yashar'al, my prayer is that you are in good health, that you are encouraged in spite of the things you see that is happening, that you be encouraged in spite of your physical condition, that you trust and know that the Almighty Father knows the intent of each and every one of us and will indeed respond. Let us have the eyes and ears to see and to hear. Let us listen. Let us embrace the love as well as the work that is expected of us. Come, O Yashar'al, let us come together and witness the power of the Almighty Father as He moves us in the direction necessary for gathering His children. On that note, O set-apart brother, O set-apart sister, this message reached you for a reason. I am confident that Isaiah 55, 10 and 11 will prove to do what it says it will do as it relates to the things that are set apart, that are connected to the crown, the words of the Almighty Father. So in Yahusha's name, I come to you. My name is Symmanayah, and I say to you, much Shalum.